This is the Wikipedia page for Racewalking. You're listening to the podcast where we read Wikipedia articles and provide commentary. Welcome to WikiListen. I'm Rachel Teichman, LMSW.
I'm Victor Varnado, KSN.
I'm so excited for this article because of the Malcolm in the Middle episode.
Don't know, didn't see it.
Bryan Cranston, we love you. Racewalking. Racewalking, or race walking, is a long-distance discipline within the sport of athletics. Although a foot race, it is different from running in that one foot must appear to be in contact with the ground at all times. Race judges carefully assess that this is maintained throughout the race. Typically held on either roads or running tracks, common distances range from 3,000 meters, 1.9 miles, up to 100 kilometers, 62.1 miles. Wow.
There are two race-walking distances contested at the Summer Olympics, the 20-kilometer race walk, men and women, and 50 kilometers race walk, men only. Both are held as road events. The Biennial World Athletics Championship also features these three events in addition to a 50-kilometer walk for women. The IAAF World Race Walking Cup, first held in 1961, is a standalone global competition for the discipline, and it has 10-kilometer race walks for junior athletes in addition to the Olympic standard events. The IAAF World Indoor Championships featured 5,000 meters and 3,000 meter race walk variations, but these were discontinued after 1993. Top-level athletics championships and games typically feature 20-kilometer race-walking events.
Wow, if I participated in this, I would be tired IAAF.
That is a great joke that you probably were thinking of and waiting till the end of my paragraph, right?
Yep.
It is a great joke, though.
Thank you. The sport emerged from a British culture of long-distance competitive walking known as pedestrianism, which began to develop the rule set that is the basis of the modern discipline around the mid-19th century. Since the mid-20th century onwards, Russian and Chinese athletes have been among the most successful on the global stage, with Europe and parts of Latin America producing most of the remaining top-level walkers. However, it has been particularly affected by doping, with many Russian world and Olympic champions testing positive for banned performance-enhancing drugs.
Wow, drugs in the race-walking community.
Who knew?
Didn't expect it. Compared to other forms of foot racing, stride length is reduced. To achieve competitive speeds, race walkers must attain cadence rates comparable to those achieved by world-class 800-meter runners.
Rules. There are only two rules that govern racewalking. The first dictates that the athlete's back toe cannot leave the ground until the heel of the front foot has touched. Violation of this rule is known as loss of contact. The second rule requires that the supporting leg must straighten from the point of contact with the ground and remain straightened until the body passes directly over it. These rules are judged by the unaided human eye. Athletes regularly lose contact for a few milliseconds per stride, which can be caught on film. But such a short flight phase is said to be undetectable to the human eye.
Athletes stay low to the ground by keeping their arms pumping low close to their hips. If one sees a race walker's shoulders rising, it may be a sign that the athlete is losing contact with the ground. What appears to be an exaggerated swivel to the hip is, in fact, a full rotation of the pelvis. Athletes aim to move the pelvis forward and to minimize sideways motion in order to achieve a maximum forward propulsion. Speed is achieved by stepping quickly with the aim of rapid turnover. This minimizes the risk of feet leaving the ground. Strides are short and quick, with push-off coming forward from the ball of the foot, again to minimize the risk of losing contact with the ground. World-class race walkers, male and female, can average under 4 and 5 minutes per kilometer in a 20-kilometer race walk.
Kids, if you're listening, this is how you get away with running in the hallway. Distances. Races have been walked at distances as short as 3 kilometers, 1.9 miles at the 1920 Summer Olympics and as long as 100 kilometers, 62.1 miles. The men's world record for the 50-mile race walk is held by Israeli Shaul Ladani, whose time of 7 hours, 23 minutes, and 50 seconds in 1972 beat the world record that had stood since 1935. The modern Olympic events are the 20-kilometer 12.4-mile race walk, men and women, and 50-kilometer 31-mile race walk, men only. One example of a longer race walking competition is the annual Paris Colmar, which is 450 to 500 kilometers. Indoor races are 3,000 meters and 5,000 meters.
Judges. There are judges on the course to monitor form. 3 judges submitting red cards for violation results in disqualification of the competitor. There is a scoreboard placed on the course so competitors can see their violation status. If the 3rd violation is received, the chief judge removes the competitor from the course by showing a red paddle. For monitoring reasons, races are held on a looped course or on a track so judges get to see competitors several times during a race. A judge could also caution a competitor that he or she is in danger of losing form by showing a paddle that indicates either losing contact or bent knees. No judge may submit more than 1 card for each walker, and the chief judge may not submit any cards. It is his or her job only to disqualify the offending walker. Disqualifications are routine at the elite level, such as the famous case of Jane Saville, disqualified within sight of a gold medal in front of her home crowd in the 2000 Summer Olympics, or Yet Liu disqualified 20 meters before the finish line at the 2017 World Championship in Athletics. Wow, to be disqualified in front of your home crowd right before you win a gold? Yikes.
Brutal. Beginning. Racewalking developed as one of the original track and field events of the first meeting of the English Amateur Athletics Association in 1880. The first racewalking codes came from an attempt to regulate rules for popular 19th century long-distance competitive walking events called pedestrianism. Pedestrianism had developed, like foot races and horse racing, as a popular working-class British and American pastime and a venue for wagering. Walkers organized the first English Amateur Walking Championship in 1866, which was won by John Chambers and judged by the fair heel and toe rule. This rather vague code was the basis for the rules codified at the first championships meeting in 1880 of the Amateur Athletics Association in England, the birth of modern athletics. With football, soccer, cricket, and other sports codified in the 19th century, the transition from professional pedestrianism to amateur racewalking was, while relatively late, part of a process of regularization occurring in most modern sports at this time.
Olympics. Racewalking is an Olympic athletic track and field event with distances of 20 kilometers for both men and women and 50 kilometers for men only.
Racewalking first appeared in the modern Olympics in 1904 in the form of a half-mile, 804.672 meters walk in the all-around competition, the precursor to the 10-event decathlon. In 1908, standalone 1,500-meter and 3,000-meter racewalks were added, and excluding 1924, there has been at least one racewalk for men in every Olympics since.
Women's racewalking became an Olympic event in 1992 following years of active lobbying by female internationals. So, until 1992, they wouldn't let women racewalk? Wow.
Racewalking is a very masculine sport, okay?
I mean, look at the shorts. Pretty masculine.
Pretty masculine, for sure. A World Cup in racewalking is held biennially, and racewalk events appear in the World Athletics Championships, the Commonwealth Games, and the Pan American Games, among others.
World Racewalking Challenge. Since 2003, the IAAF has organized the IAAF Racewalking Challenge, an annual worldwide competition series in which elite athletes accumulate points for the right to compete in the IAAF Racewalking Challenge final and to share over $200,000 of prize money. The series of televised events takes place in several countries each year, including Mexico, Spain, Russia, and China.
High school. Racewalking is sometimes included in high school indoor and outdoor track meets, the rules often more relaxed. The distances walked tend to be relatively short, with the 1,500 meter being the most commonly held event. Racing also occurs at 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and 10 kilometers, with records kept and annual rankings published. We had a version of this in gym class.
Top performers. We're going to skip the top performers section because it's a chart, so you can take a look at that because it doesn't make great audio content to read charts.
In popular culture, racewalking is sometimes derided as a contrived or artificial sport. In 1992, eminent sportscaster and longtime Olympic commentator Bob Costas compared it to a contest to see who can whisper the loudest.
What a jerk.
In Malcolm in the Middle Season 4 episode, Malcolm Holds His Tongue, Hal gets into the sport and exposes his local park rival as nothing but a common jogger by proving that both of his feet leave the ground at once every 4th step.
In the 1966 film Walk, Don't Run, Jim Hutton plays a racewalker competing in the Tokyo Olympics. Cary Grant and Samantha Eggar co-star.
In the 2021 film Queenpins, actress Kristen Bell plays a 3rd-time gold medal Olympics racewalker and extreme couponer. Wow, with such character development.
The most important thing that I learned from this article is that Bob Costas is kind of a jerk.
I think the biggest thing that I learned is like how arbitrary the rules are, given that they're not using camera footage to judge most of the time.
Oh no, it has to be by the human eye, I guess, right? So
yeah, and in the Malcolm in the Middle episode, the reason that Hal was able to catch his rival is because he filmed him and was able to see both feet leaving the ground when he paused it.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah.
Maybe I should revisit Malcolm in the Middle.
It's great. This has been the Wikipedia page for Racewalking.
And if you have a Wikipedia page you'd like us to read, let us know.
Thanks for listening to WikiListen. To support the show, go to patreon.com/WikiListenPodcast and find us on social media at WikiListen